Johnny Carson was not merely a late-night host, he was the invisible hand that shaped American entertainment. The Tonight Show was not just a television program, it was a kingdom. A single appearance on Johnny's couch could transform an unknown comedian into a household name overnight, while a single decision from him could quietly end even the most promising career. His power was never loud or aggressive. It was subtle, cold, and absolute. Johnny Carson didn't destroy people publicly. He erased them. For 30 years, Johnny Carson sat behind his desk as the uncrowned king of American television. Thousands of stars passed through his studio, but only one woman was ever treated as family, as a true heir to his empire. That woman was Joan Rivers. Their relationship began in 1965 when Joan was a struggling, unknown comedian desperate for a break. After her first appearance on The Tonight Show, Johnny Carson laughed so hard that tears streamed down his face, and on live television he declared that she was going to be a star. That moment changed her destiny forever. Johnny mentored her, protected her, and gave her the greatest honor in late-night television, allowing her to guest host The Tonight Show whenever he was away. To the public, Joan Rivers wasn't just a guest, she was Johnny's chosen successor, his television daughter. But trust, once broken, cuts deeper than any insult. In 1986, fearing that NBC would replace her with younger faces, Joan Rivers made a decision that would destroy everything. Without telling Johnny, without even a private conversation, she secretly signed a contract with the rival Fox network to host a competing show. Johnny Carson didn't hate ambition. What shattered him was deception. The man who had built her career discovered the betrayal through the press. When Joan called Johnny's private number, hoping 2 decades of loyalty would soften his heart, she was met with a calm, icy voice that sounded like a stranger. Johnny simply said he heard she had her own show and congratulated her before hanging up. That was the last conversation they ever had. From that moment on, Joan Rivers was erased. She was banned from The Tonight Show for life. Her name was never mentioned again. Her old clips were sealed away. Even when her show failed, even when her husband took his own life, Johnny Carson never broke his silence. 19 years passed, and he never forgave her. The message was unmistakable. With Johnny Carson, mistakes could be forgiven, but betrayal meant you no longer existed. Wayne Newton's story unfolded very differently. Known as Mr. Las Vegas, Wayne Newton was a symbol of glamour, excess, and showbiz confidence. His polished appearance and flamboyant style made him a frequent target of Johnny Carson's jokes, especially during opening monologues in the early 1980s. Night after night, Johnny mocked Wayne's masculinity and hinted at his sexuality, drawing roaring laughter from the audience. Wayne initially tried to endure it quietly, even contacting producers to complain politely, but the jokes only grew harsher. Eventually, Wayne Newton reached his breaking point. One afternoon, after hearing yet another humiliating joke, Wayne drove straight to NBC studios in Burbank. He bypassed security using his fame and walked directly into Johnny Carson's private dressing room, a place considered untouchable. Without warning, he grabbed Johnny by the lapels and issued a direct threat, telling him that if he made one more joke, he wouldn't sue, he would beat him publicly. Johnny Carson, who despised physical confrontation, looked into Wayne's eyes and realized the threat was real. He nodded. Wayne released him and walked out as coldly as he had entered. Johnny never joked about Wayne Newton again. But Wayne didn't truly win. Johnny retaliated in the only way he knew how, through silence. Wayne Newton was never invited back to The Tonight Show. For an entertainer, losing access to America's biggest platform was a devastating blow, and Wayne paid that price quietly. Chevy Chase's downfall was neither betrayal nor violence, but arrogance. In the mid-1970s, Chevy Chase was the hottest name in comedy, the breakout star of Saturday Night Live, and a symbol of rebellious charm. Johnny Carson initially saw potential in him, but that admiration quickly faded. Behind Chevy's handsome exterior was a personality Johnny despised, a bully who used humor to belittle others. Chevy treated NBC staff poorly, mocked assistants, and behaved as if everyone around him existed to serve his ego. On air, he interrupted Johnny, leaned back smugly, and tried to dominate the conversation, acting as though his presence was a favor to the show. Johnny Carson valued respect and humility above raw talent. Without confrontation or drama, Johnny simply told his producer that he didn't want to see Chevy Chase anymore. From that moment, Chevy disappeared from The Tonight Show. While other comedians flourished under Johnny's support, Chevy's reputation followed him, and the industry quietly took note. Jim Garrison's offense struck at something deeper, truth itself. In the aftermath of President John F. Kennedy's assassination, Garrison appeared claiming he held shocking evidence of a conspiracy. Johnny Carson invited him onto the show out of genuine curiosity, but as the interview unfolded, Johnny realized he had been used. Garrison offered no real evidence, only speculation and sensational claims designed to sell books and gain attention. Johnny felt insulted, not just personally, but on behalf of the audience. After the broadcast ended, Johnny ordered that Jim Garrison never be invited back. To him, exploiting a national tragedy for personal fame was unforgivable. Uri Geller's exposure was perhaps the most calculated. Johnny Carson, a former magician himself, despised those who passed off tricks as supernatural powers. When Uri Geller appeared claiming psychic abilities, Johnny prepared a trap by providing untouched props that Geller had no access to beforehand. On live television, Geller failed completely. Spoons didn't bend. Drawings couldn't be guessed. Johnny didn't rescue him or soften the moment. He allowed silence to do the damage. Millions of viewers watched the illusion collapse in real time, and Uri Geller left humiliated and exposed. Milton Berle's case was tragic irony. Once known as Mr. Television, Berle refused to accept that his reign had ended. On The Tonight Show, he constantly interrupted, stole attention, and treated Johnny like a supporting act. Johnny tolerated it for a while out of respect, but eventually he froze Berle out. There was no official ban, just fewer invitations until none came at all. Raymond Burr committed the most subtle crime of all, boredom. Though a legendary actor, he was painfully dull as a guest. His short, lifeless answers drained the energy from the studio, forcing Johnny to work twice as hard just to keep the show alive. After one exhausting appearance, Raymond Burr was quietly removed from the guest list. Ryan O'Neal brought arrogance without effort. At the height of his fame, he treated The Tonight Show like an obligation, barely listening, offering hollow answers, and radiating indifference. Johnny felt deeply disrespected. After that appearance, Johnny simply told his team not to invite him again.